With everything going on with coronavirus right now, how has day-to-day life changed for you?
Well, okay, so day to day life has changed quite a lot for a lot of people, but actually for me, not so much. Every day I get up, I've got to go to work because we've got an exemption from government to go and look after the animals. At the moment, in my care, there's a few animals, one with a bite on her hind leg that needs treatment and needs to be sprayed daily. So I have to go in and tend and care for the animals. But when it comes to the weekends, when I would normally get out and about and go riding my bicycle up in the mountains or doing all the whatever, riding a motorbike, that's all changed and that's all stopped. And you're kind of like restricted to your house.
How are things going at the sanctuary in light of all of this?
Yeah, well, literally everything came to a grinding halt when it was announced that South Africa would be shutting down. So all the volunteers left. We had to put the staff on, obviously stringent conditions for leaving the farm, and obviously close the day tourists as well. Um, so things have changed, but we're doing okay, thankfully.
What did you say to your team?
Well, I mean, I think everyone was pretty aware of what was going on. Basically, tourism in South Africa's shut down. So I think, realistically speaking, even if the coronavirus disappears off the face of the earth, tourism getting back to the levels that it was in the next 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year is not realistic. So I think we've got to brace ourselves for about anyway between eight and 10 months. Thankfully, with the running of the foundation and other parallel things, we as a sanctuary didn't rely entirely on one income stream. And I think, unfortunately, for many sanctuaries and zoos and animal facilities out there that lived really from hand to mouth and relied heavily on footfall through the doors and tourism, they pretty much up the creek without a paddle. Pardon my French.
Yeah.
But fortunately for us, we have had the ability to make use of the internet and make use of other media streams that have obviously paid off at this point in time, because a lot of people are now watching YouTube and everyone's sitting at home.
What are the wife and kids up to?
I think the kids are driving the wife nuts, and the wife needs to obviously deal with the kids in terms of their education, because now they're trying to educate via the internet, which is not very easy, because it takes a special type of person to be an educator. So it's really difficult to homeschool. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and still, my wife has a job within the sanctuary.
How would you describe what the mood's like in South Africa currently?
In South Africa, there's an anxious a mood. The people are anxious and they are concerned because they don't know the future. And I think that's the biggest thing, is they're worried about. You say to a nation locked down, but a lot of people don't have anywhere to be locked down to. We are privileged. We can come to a house and we've got a roof over our head, we've got running water, we've got electricity. A lot of the people in South Africa go back to a tin shanty, and they have an outhouse toilet, no electricity, and they've got to walk to get their water. So how do you stay locked down? So a lot of the townships are basically saying, listen, guys, I mean, it's impossible for us to adhere to this. But secondary to that, it's like you don't care about us even when times are good. So what makes us think that you're going to care about us when we contract the coronavirus? So there's a little bit, there's a lot of doubt as to whether the government is going to actually look after these people when they are down and out and suffering. And it's valid, I suppose.
China and Vietnam, they have now banned consumption of wild animals amid all of this. How do you view that as part of kind of your efforts to, protect these animals?
Obviously, I welcomed that when I heard that. But then yesterday or the day before, I read an article that the wet markets are business as usual, and have opened up again. The only difference being is that they are not allowing people to take pictures. It was a bit of just a bit of lip service. Although we got to embrace the good and try and be positive and say, well, at least it is a step in the right direction. Now there needs to just be an enforcement of this law. Um, it's a little bit of too little, too late, I suppose, in many respects, because people have been pushing for, or activists have been pushing to shut these markets down for ages, saying, warning of something like this.
It is a treat to talk to you as always. I wish it was obviously under different circumstances, but keep doing what you're doing. It's really great seeing the impact that you're making in the world, and I appreciate you making the time to do this, Kevin.
No, it's a pleasure. And we must, despite the circumstances, we must keep smiling, because if you smile enough and you laugh enough, there's scientific evidence to show that you can trick your brain actually into being happy.